there's a lot of focus on why we should measure performance, but are the consequences of having no KPIs or metrics or measures really all that bad? We know there are some pretty awful consequences when we measure performance poorly or for the wrong reasons. But what about the consequences of not measuring performance at all? Surely there was a time when humans engaged in business but didn't measure anything other than maybe the flow of money. One of the best case studies these days in support of business being better off with measurement is how the Oakland A's reinvented the game of baseball by using data. On their meagre budget, they rose from the lower half of the league to the top. Now, the core principles of their use of data have since been adopted across the baseball league and are referred to time and again in the business literature. It's easy to put forward reasons to measure performance, and I have certainly been one of the many who have done that. But perhaps a useful part of deciding whether performance measurement is worth the effort is to contrast it with not measuring at all. Out of curiosity, I asked readers of my Measure Up newsletter for their thoughts and experiences about the consequences of not measuring performance. Now, these are collated into a rather lengthy discussion in an article that I link to in the video description, but for now, here are the main consequences that I've distilled from that discussion. Number one, without measuring performance, we're doing no better than guessing, which means we're pretty much giving up any control over performance. Number two, without measuring performance, we can't know if our actions are working or not, if our expenditure of time and money is making the difference we want, no difference at all, or even making things worse. Number three, without measuring performance, we don't do better than mediocre. Even if our organisation appears to be performing well, there's no guarantee that's going to continue, and pursuing excellence, well, that's out of the question. Number four, without measuring performance, we can't anticipate and prevent or mitigate problems. Instead, we spend an inordinate amount of time and effort fighting fires and cleaning up messes. Number five, without measuring performance, we can't agree on what success looks like. Weasel words lead us to our own individual interpretations of the results that matter, and we end up pulling in different directions. Number six, without measuring performance, we can't objectively prioritize. Instead, where we spend time and money will be decided by a popularity contest or the squeakiest wheel. Number seven, without measuring performance, we suffer in uncertainty and lack of self-efficacy. Our decisions will be sabotaged by anecdotal evidence like opinions or hearsay or biased data. And number eight, without measuring performance, any attempt at using data will be trivial. We won't have the skill to measure, so we'll choose the wrong data, misinterpret it, and we'll misuse it. Now, just to remind you, in the description is a link to the full discussion about each of these 8 consequences shared by those readers who collaborated with me. Unless you want an organisation that is content with guessing and fighting fires, doesn't care if its investments are wasteful, isn't fussed about what success looks like, prefers popularity over priorities and uncertainty over self-efficacy, unless you're happy to live with all that, then you need to measure performance. Let me know what you think in the comments. Which of the consequences are you currently living with now where you're not measuring well enough?